7 wonders to the world.
7 days in a week.
7 continents.
7 seas.
7 colors in a rainbow.
7 dwarves.
7 swans are swimming.
And here's 7 steps to everything.
Welcome to the 7th door with me, the author, Beth Deacon.
And me, the daughter, Lucy Deacon. So at the end of last episode, we pulled this from the Think Jar. Google Pixel Buds are earbuds that can translate different languages in real time.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would be extremely concerned about improper translations because Google Translate's bad at translating sometimes.
And I guess that what I don't get about them is, if you're talking to somebody, you can understand what they're saying, but they can't understand what you're saying.
So you can only listen to people?
Exactly. And how cool would that be? You could eavesdrop. They could think that you can't speak the language, and then you're eavesdropping, and you can hear everything they're saying about you.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, actually.
But
I don't see. I guess I don't see the sense
actual
in it. Yeah,
practicality.
because how do you have a complete conversation?
Yeah, you guess you just have to have a translator, but
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to talk about today for our 7 steps?
this week we're doing 7 steps to watching a movie.
Yay! I like movies.
Okay.
All right. So, step number 1, we have to pick what genre.
Genre.
Why do I say that so
You're
funny?
really bad at that.
Oh.
So, genre of movie.
Yes. So that's gonna be the first step. So what are the choices they have?
Well, I like comedy and horror, and you like.
I like movies where you have to think. I like drama too. I like drama. I like cop movies, attorney movies. What genres are those?
I think that's just like. Oh, there's a word for that. I think drama is like a genre. I'm pretty sure.
And I am not into sci-fi at all.
Really?
No.
You live a sad life.
All right. So the first thing you have to do is pick what genre you're going to use.
So we both agree on comedy, though, right?
Yes, we agree on comedy.
So we would choose comedy.
All right. Step number 2.
Pick a movie.
Pick a movie, but you want to pick a movie that everybody's going to enjoy.
Right.
And not a movie that somebody's already seen, because some people be so nice, like, it's all right, I'll watch it again.
I like rewatching movies sometimes, unless it's like, I mean, you got to make sure they're not just being nice about it, but like if they want to rewatch a movie.
I don't agree. If I'm going to watch a movie with somebody, I want it to be new and exciting for us.
Because then you're both reacting to it?
Yes. All right, so now we decided on the movie. The next step we got to do, where do we want to watch it? Are we going to rent it from a video store? Are we going to go to the movie theater? Not really now with the virus.
No, we can't really do that right now.
So I say we rent it on Amazon or Netflix or Hulu. What are some other places they can rent them on? You're more the savvy person when it comes to this
I'm guessing Google Plus has movies.
Yeah.
And then there's like YouTube has movies for like $5, I think, or
so then that's the next thing is they got to decide where they're going to get the movie from.
Right.
Okay, now we got the movie. Where are we going to watch it?
Some people like watching movies in bed. I don't. I like sitting on a couch with a nice blanket.
I think your closet's better. Because it's so big and it's so quiet. Nobody bothers us.
Big.
Nobody would bother us. Let's do it. In the closet. So pick a place that's secluded where nobody's going to bother you.
Unless you're in a house alone. You can like watch it wherever.
Yeah, I guess. But then you got the dogs and cats around too.
Yeah. Some people's dogs just sit with them and watch movies with them.
That's true.
Our dog would try to eat everything we have.
So just find somewhere comfy to watch it.
Right.
All right. The next and one of the most important to me, you have to go to the bathroom before you watch the movie. I'm sorry. To be a good movie watcher person, you have got to be watching the movie and not always having to stop the movie for other people because you have to run to the bathroom. I don't like that. So you have to go to the bathroom before the movie starts if you're going to be a good movie person watcher.
Person watcher, movie person watcher.
Yes.
Okay. But that should be like basic preparation.
Well, we're gonna count it because it's important.
Okay.
Okay, so now we've gone to the bathroom. Now, I like to eat when I'm watching the movie.
I don't like eating when I watch movies because I always like eat it at the beginning, and plus I hate popcorn.
Well, let's pick some snacks that people would like popcorn, butter popcorn.
Everyone knows movie popcorn.
Chocolate's good. Gummy worms or gummy bears.
You'd eat chocolate throughout the entirety of a movie?
Yes, I buy like a thing of malt balls or something. Oh my god, how good would that be?
I thought you meant just like chewing on a chocolate bar the entire time. I was like, that's a little weird.
No, or some sour candies or just something to suck on, you know?
I guess.
So that's the next step. So now we got our food and we're watching our movie. The other thing when you're watching a movie, don't interrupt people. I don't like when people are talking during the movie. So if you're gonna watch a movie, the best time to watch a movie is when you seriously want to watch the movie and you're not in that mood that you're just gonna screw around and blow it for everybody else.
I never seriously want to watch a movie though. Like I'm never like I hear about a movie and I'm like, I want to watch that thing.
Well,
and plus, I think it's more fun if you guys are commenting, like, obviously not throughout the entire movie, but, like, you make a comment about a character doing something stupid, it's like, hey, we all agree on that.
A little bit of that, but some people just, like, go into depth and start talking about, oh, I know what's going to happen next, oh, I know what's going to happen next. Let's find out what's going to happen.
Right, like, if you're watching all the Star Wars movies in order, everyone knows, just shut up and watch the movie. But if you're, like, watching a one-time off movie and you're like, I want to...
All right, so let's list the 7 steps to watching a movie.
I don't think we did 7, we did 6.
We did 7. 1 is genre.
Yep.
2 is how we're going to get the movie, we're going to rent it, what we're going to do.
Yep.
3, where are we going to watch it?
No, 3 is actually choosing the movie.
Yeah, 3 is choosing the movie. 4, where are we going to watch it?
Right.
5, going to the bathroom.
Or, like, any basic preparation that is not
6,
snacks.
getting our snacks.
Right.
And 7, actually watching the movie and not interrupting people while it's on.
Okay, that's 7 steps.
That's 7 steps. I like it. All right, for today's episode, we are going to talk about educational reform in prisons. I taught in a maximum security prison for 3 years. Do you remember that, Lucy? You're awfully young.
Yeah, I was in, like, 4th grade, and I don't have good memory, but I do remember, like, you weren't that scared about it.
And I think part of it is I was kind of naive because I had never been in a prison before. I didn't know what to expect. And I was going in there with the attitude that I'm a teacher. What do I have to worry about?
What did you know about your job before you started?
I didn't really know anything about it. I had taught back home in Michigan. I had taught adult education. I had some people that came from the jails and that to get educated, and they were very respectful, and I really enjoyed working with them.
Would you say you were not prepared for what you ended up having to go through?
I think I was a little naive, but I didn't treat it any different than any other classroom I've ever been in. So just because I was working with adults, to me it was no different than working with kids. My goal was the same. I wanted everybody to reach their potential.
I also remember that when you got there was like no, they had classes, but there was no like good education system put in place.
Right, the guys didn't do much. They sat around tables and they were handed pamphlets and that, and they worked on those. And to me that wasn't teaching. The program was changed so that they had actual classes, and they came to school and they would have a math class or a writing class, and they had to work.
Right, and because you graduate while in prison, that's like what you want. So how do the graduation rates look before you worked there? Because I know that you improved it, but I don't know which you started.
I believe I improved it drastically. When I first started teaching at the prison, I think there was only like 10 students. When I left, there was approximately 48.
Were they not required to go to school?
If you're under 21, you had to go to school. Otherwise, it wasn't required at that time. Now, what was kind of neat about it is, as we built it into a real school, and some of the men saw others graduate and that they really didn't expect would graduate because it was a more structured program, they bought into it and they wanted to be part of it,
right? Which
is really cool. And it just, the biggest part of working in the prison that has stuck with me is the fact that the men were so grateful. They were so respectful to me, and watching them grow. Like at the beginning, I would see a lot of them swearing a lot. And I remember some of the guys tell me that they started doing push-ups and that, so that they would, every time they swore, so that they would get used to not swearing.
Were they not allowed to swear in your class?
I didn't allow them to swear in class. They had to write papers, and I didn't want that in the papers.
Right.
And they also had testing to do, and they had to prepare for those tests. So I expected them to work outside of school. They were given homework, and they had to do it.
I feel like a lot of people act like prisoners. They don't respect them as people as much as they should, because whenever you see like prisoners in movies, it's always the guards being like really rude. So I think you respected them enough that.
Oh, and I think the officers were outstanding. The officer I worked with a few officers. They were great. One of the officers actually came in the classroom and read with a few of the men, because I was the only teacher in there, and I couldn't get to everybody, and they could only go to school so many hours a day. So that I thought that was pretty cool. We really had a great program going there, and I taught the men that it's okay to not pass. It's okay to make mistakes, because we're going to learn, we're going to grow, and we're going to get stronger. And that's exactly what happened. It turned into one big team where everybody worked together.
Because I think one of the main issues in prison is everyone's like, those are prisoners, those are different people from us, and they need to be like, people need to understand that, yeah, they committed a crime, and it's none of your business what that crime was, but like, they're still human beings, and a lot of people forget that about
And
prisoners.
that's a lot of people would ask me, how could you stand in front of murderers all day, or how could you stand in front of rapists? My answer to that was, I didn't. I stood in front of my students.
Because the purpose of a prison is to reform them so they're no longer those things.
And I didn't. It didn't matter to me what they did. They were serving their time for what they did. I was a teacher. I was there to do a job, and that's how I treated it. And I think that is one of the reasons I gained so much respect from the men.
Right, because I've taken criminal justice classes because I would like to work in law enforcement, and in every criminal justice class or every class where we've talked about prisoners, they often, like, education is something that most people don't even know happens in prison. And then prisoners, if they're pushed back into the real world with no knowledge of how that's going to work, ending up back in prison is always a really big problem.
Right, and I struggle with the fact that a lot of the men I worked with would tell me that they grew up dodging bullets or looking for something to eat. They didn't really have a place to call home. And then they come to prison, they're given jobs because they work in prison. They learn about teamwork and accountability, and they get educated, and they get into a routine, which they didn't have on the outside. And sometimes I wonder, you got a life sentence, why bother? But then I also look at it as some of these men learned to read that couldn't read, and now they can defend their case better.
Right.
And they can help other people. And that's what I see a lot. To find value in themselves, I noticed some of the men would start working with some that were going to get out.
Right.
But I also think that it's important to remember that the person that comes into prison isn't always the one that leaves.
It should not be the person who leaves.
Exactly. That's what reform's about.
Right now, the American prison system is not enough about reform currently. It's more about punishment, and that's not what prisons should be. So I think improving education and everything would be a really big thing for helping
Yes,
reform.
and baby steps to moving forward and having a second chance at life. And I'm not saying everybody deserves it, because everybody cannot live in the free world. It's not possible. They don't have the mentality for it.
Right.
And I understand that, but I look at prisons like in Denmark where a life sentence is 15 years. Here, if you get a life sentence, you're sentenced to die in prison.
Right.
And there's really nothing to live for, and I think that's kind of dangerous. Because no matter what you do,
because now prison is life, and whatever happens
you do in prison, it's not going to change where you're at. Most states don't have the death penalty anymore. So if you're in a state without the death penalty, you can harm officers, you can harm other inmates, other employees, and that. Because nothing's going to change.
If you're there and you're like, I have a life sentence, but it's not your entire life. Everyone in the prison is working to reform themselves.
Yes.
Where if there's prisoners that are going to die in prison, and they have very little chance of ever gaining parole. I think that's one of the reasons for prisons being dangerous places, because people who are in there forever know that, like...
Right, you have to give them value, you have to let them see that there's value in their life still.
Right.
Everybody needs that.
And their value doesn't come from being the strongest person in prison.
Right, and some of them become very spiritual in that, and they do come to the understanding that they are there for life. What can we do now to make this time valuable? What can we do to help other people?
But a lot of them don't look like that, because life sentences, you're going to die there. I think life
But you have to come, at some point, you have to accept that and decide what you're going to do with your life when you're in there.
But we, as people who are not in prison, should not look at people in prison and say, this is exactly how, because we know the reform system isn't good right now.
I understand that, and I do believe that people deserve second chances. That's what I'm all about. That's what I'm saying, and I think that our justice system needs work. I think there's been a lot of work done. The first act
not nearly enough.
Right, but it's slowly progressing, and I think it needs to continue. And I think more people do need to be given a second chance after they've proved themselves.
Right. So I think that life sentences should not be for life. No one should have to be locked in a box and say, this box is where I'm going to die.
And I don't agree with you on that, because I do feel there are some people that would be too dangerous to society to ever get out.
Well, then they shouldn't be in a prison, because prisons should be about reform and going into society. There should be somewhere else to keep people who are stuck there forever. Because
so it's mental institutions is what you're saying.
Right, but not all of them would need that. So maybe we have just another version of a prison that's for life inmates. Because, it's not the same with someone you're trying to let back into society and someone who you think is too dangerous to go back in society.
Yes.
They should not be treated on the same level.
And I think also that when it comes to deciding who is capable of coming back into society, everybody working in the prison should have a say in that. The officers see the men and women every day, all day long.
They should ask you.
The counselors, the teachers, the psychiatrists, those of us that see them all day long and see the change.
It shouldn't just be a lawyer looking at their record and saying,
right,
I think you deserve life or not.
And I do not believe people should get out of prisons because they're overcrowded. I believe people should get out of prisons because they have proved themselves, they have changed, or something was wrong with their sentencing, something like that. But to just say we're overcrowded, so let people out of prison, I don't agree with that.
Well, you cannot have an overcrowded prison.
I
but if
understand
we
that,
fix our system, it wouldn't be as crowded in the first place.
Exactly. Good job.
Yeah.
You've really learned a lot with your criminal classes. That's pretty
cool.
And
I've just had you as a mother who's been a teacher in a prison, who's been writing a book about prisoners. So.
All right, let's pull our last fact.
Okay.
Our next fact. I should say our next fact.
For next episode, yeah. That's so loud, that thing.
You gonna read it or you want me to?
I'll read it. Okay. Charlie Chaplin? Do you know who that is? Mm-hmm. Okay, am I saying that name right? Yeah. Charlie Chaplin once entered a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest and got 3rd place.
Can't wait to talk about that. So, that's our show for the day. I want to remind you also that I have a blog site called 7doorsin.com. That's the number 7doorsin.com. At my blog site, you can also reach my YouTube channel. So I hope you take a look. Have a good day.